Hello everyone and welcome back to the Synergy Sanctum. My name is Justin. Thank you so much for stopping by. Here at the Synergy Sanctum, we specialize in all things related to Magic the Gathering with a specific focus on deck building. So I aim to show you very quick deck techs that'll show you all of the cards in the deck and how they work together to ultimately achieve the goals of that deck. If you're not already, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate that. And we also have a sister channel now, so head on over to Commander Coliseum and check out their content as well. And for today's deck tech, we have a really messed up one for Halloween with Blim, Comedic Genius, an EDH focus build here that focuses on passing out, I would say, horrible gifts to your opponents. So Blim, really interesting commander here in Rakdos. He says that whenever he deals combat damage to a player, that player gains control of a target permanent you control, and then each player is going to lose life and discard cards equal to the number of permanents they control but don't own. So this is a really interesting strategy here, because what we're basically going to do is we're going to have a bunch of permanents that give us value off of entering the battlefield, but then are just problems if they continue to exist for others. And we're going to pass these out to everybody, and then we're going to protect them from being removed if we can, so that your opponents basically either lose the game out of nowhere, or they're not able to do certain things that they might want to do. Just a lot of different strategies here that we're going to get into today. And this deck is super affordable, only $80 to $85 TCG market value. Land count is 22 basics in mountains and swamps, and then 13 non-basics, rounding us out to 35 lands total. So getting into it today, we are going to start with all of these horrible gifts that we are going to give our opponents. So starting with Ebon Drake, it says whenever you play a spell, you lose a life. Super messed up. So yeah, we're going to cast this, and it might be on our side for a second, but as soon as Blim connects or we use one of our other cards to give it away, that's our opponent's gift now. Blood Funnel is an enchantment, super messed up. It allows non-creature spells to cost 2 less to play, but then when you play one, you have to counter that spell unless you sack a creature. Oh my goodness, messed up. We're running a Greed's Gambit, so when it enters, you get to draw 3 cards, gain 6 life, create 3/2/1 black creature tokens with flying, so that is the benefit that you will get off of the cast. But the second Blim passes it away, at the beginning of your end step, you may discard a card, lose 2 life. Oh no, you have to. You discard a card, lose 2 life, and sack a creature, and then when it leaves the battlefield, you have to discard 3 cards, lose 6 life, and sack 3 creatures. Just so messed up. Demonic Lore gets you 3 when it enters. Again, super awesome. But then at your end step, you lose 2 life for each card in your hand. So we're going to pass that to one of our opponents and have them deal with that. Captive Audience isn't necessarily something that needs to get passed. Just a really broken Rakdos enchantment here. You enchant a player with it, and they have to choose one of 3 modes. Either they discard their hand, they give everybody zombies, or their life total becomes 4. So just a really problem enchantment here. Archfiend of the Dross, so disgusting. So it enters with 4 oil counters on it, and then at the beginning of your upkeep, you remove an oil counter from it, and then if all of them are gone, you lose the game. And then when a creature an opponent controls dies, its controller loses 2 life. So you're going to get rid of this either ASAP or right when that last oil counter is going to be removed, and someone's going to lose the game right away. It's just super broken here. And then there's these 2 cards in black, these Evil Eyes, the Evil Eye of Urborg and the Evil Eye of Orms by Gore. Each of them prevent non-eye creatures from attacking, and then if Evil Eye of Urborg becomes blocked, it destroys that creature, and then the other one can't be blocked except by walls, so just really broken here. Aggressive Mining doesn't allow you to play lands, and you can sack a land to draw 2 cards, and you can only do that once a turn. Super messed up as well, especially early game. And then Abysmal Persecutor says that it has Flying and Trample. You can't win the game, and your opponents can't lose the game, so that's a fun one to pass to someone else. And then even more cards in the deck that are being mean. These first 4 right here are so disgusting. I don't even know about this one, but Lich's Tomb says that you don't lose the game for having 0 or less life, so that's nice. But then anytime that you would lose life, you have to sack a permanent for each 1 life you lost. So just picture this out. Your opponent's trying to like stay alive and they're sacking every other permanent, and they're going to have to eventually sack Lich's Tomb, which will cause them to lose the game. It's just so disgusting here. Nefarious Lich, same thing. So 4 black mana is a little steep, but if you would be dealt damage, you remove that many cards from your graveyard from the game instead. If you can't, you lose the game. And then if you would gain life, you draw that many cards instead. And then when this leaves play, you lose the game as well. So this one's just super messed up. No matter how they deal with it, they're probably going to lose the game. Immortal Coil, same kind of deal here. You can tap to remove 2 cards from your graveyard to draw a card, but if damage is dealt to you, you can prevent that damage by removing a card in your graveyard from the game for each 1 damage, but when there's no cards in your graveyard, you lose, so just another messed up one to give your opponents. Demonic Pact, same deal. At the beginning of your upkeep, you have to choose one that hasn't been chosen, and there's 3 other modes on here, but the 4th mode is you lose the game. It's just so many cards that just say you lose the game. It's pretty messed up, Wizards of the Coast. Plague Reaver here says at the beginning of your end step, you have to sack every other creature you control, and you can discard 2 cards to get rid of this and give it to an opponent. So this one's pretty messed up. Treacherous Blessing, when it enters, you get to draw, but then you would be giving it to your opponent for these bad things. When they cast a spell, they lose a life, and then when this becomes the target of a spell or ability, it's sacked. And then there's these 2 artifact creatures that don't allow the person that is controlling them to play creature spells with Steel Golem and Grid Monitor. Gold Knight Castigators is doubling damage that's going to be dealt to you. So broken, so you're just going to pass this to someone, and then all of a sudden they're getting taken double damage. Form of the Dragon says that at the end of each turn, your life total becomes 5, and creatures without flying can't attack you. So that's pretty messed up, just making your opponent's life total 5 every turn. And then even more messed up things to give away from Blim. Wretched Anurid says that whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you lose a life. Lich's Mastery is another kind of lose the game one. When it leaves the battlefield, you lose. Forbidden Crypt also says that whenever a card is put into your graveyard, you remove it from the game. But for each card you would draw, instead you choose target card in the graveyard and you put it in your hand, and if you cannot, you lose the game. So we are running all the lands that exile cards from graveyards to kind of make these things happen pretty quickly. And then Crown of Doom can get passed around and boost the creatures that are attacking that person. So you got to picture too that Blim's ability here is he's draining life and forcing discards for every permanent that people have that they don't own. So even like 1 or 2 of these is going to be pretty messed up if they have them, because Blim is going to be draining them and forcing them to discard, in addition to all of these crappy effects we just went over. So other gifts, other kind of permanents that we're going to pass around. Treacherous Pit Dweller, if it enters from the battlefield, it goes to an opponent. Humble Defector gets you drawn, then you pass it around. Sleeper Agent comes into play under an opponent's control, and it deals damage at upkeep. Goblin Cadets, anytime it's blocked, it goes to someone else. Master of the Feast is a good one to give out, because then at the beginning of that person's upkeep, everybody else is drawing. Drooling Ogre, such a cool art here, but when someone plays an artifact spell, they're getting Drooling Ogre. Kane, Treacherous Dragoon from the Final Fantasy set, says during your turn he has flying, and then when he deals combat damage, that player gains control of him, and if they do, you get to draw cards and make treasures. Contested Warzone, when a creature deals combat damage to you, that creature's controller gets Contested Warzone. Avarice Totem can be passed around, exchanging permanents for it for 5 mana. And then a Crowan Horse, when it enters, goes to somebody else. And then even more gifts, so we've got Vizlor Turlo, which says that when he enters the battlefield, an opponent gains control of it, and it's goaded for the rest of the game, and then that opponent at the beginning of the end step, they get to draw and lose life equal to cards in their hand. Fateful Handoff, so good. So you're going to draw cards equal to the mana value of something that you have, and then you're going to give it to an opponent. Such a good card. Pendant of Prosperity gets passed around. when it enters, it goes to an opponent, and then you benefit if they use it. Contested Game Ball says that when you're dealt damage, that attacking player gains control of it and untaps it, and then it's a draw engine. Hith Lane Rope has ramp as well as draw on it, and it passes around as well. Same with Bucknard's Everfull Purse. You're going to roll a d4 for treasures, then someone else gets it. And then the two cards that kind of pass out these permanents as well are with Harmless Offering, so you just give someone a permanent. And then Bizarre Trader says that you can tap him to give a target player a permanent, whether it's an artifact, creature, or land that you control. So we're going to be passing out a lot of things, and a lot of these things are creatures, so we want to keep these creatures protected and alive so that their effects continue. So if an opponent tries to deal with one of these problems, we want ways of kind of keeping those things alive. In addition to that, we want to keep Blim alive because he's kind of a part of the engine to keep passing things out. So we have Undying Malice and Undying Evil, which when those creatures die, they come back. Offer Immortality gives Indestructible. Not Dead After All brings it back. Supernatural Stamina and Fiend Death bring them back. Professor's Warning gives them Indestructible, and then Ashnod's Altar says that when it dies, it's going to return to its owner's hand. So we're kind of keeping all of these horrible gifts that we're passing out alive. And then more good stuff in the deck, a lot of removal here with Terminate and Wild Magic Surge. In addition, we're running a Chaos Warp for removal as well. We've got a Soul Ring for our Rock. Silent Arbiter and Crawl Space are preventing too much combat stuff from happening towards us. Kazul, Tyrant of the Cliffs, is making us ogres if people attack us. Prisoner's Dilemma is dealing so much damage depending on the choices that people make. And then we've got Blasphemous Act as our board wipe. And then even more draw on the deck. So we have Zansha's Sleeper Agent, which immediately goes to someone else, and then you can drain them by paying 3 to draw into Zansha. Karazakar, the Eye Tyrant, goads creatures, but then whenever an opponent attacks another one of your opponents, you and that attacking player each get to draw. Read the Bones is letting you scry before the draw. Knight's Whisper is letting you pay 2 life for the draw. And then we've got Azra Oddsmaker at the beginning of combat on your turn. If you discard a card and choose a creature, when that creature deals combat damage to a player, you're going to draw 2 cards. And then Allure of the Unknown, really interesting card for 5 mana here, but you get to reveal the top 6 cards. An opponent's going to choose one of them and be able to cast that, but then you get the other 5 into your hand, so just a really, really solid draw spell on Rakdos here. And with that, our show has come to an end. Thank you so much for watching our video, and if you enjoyed that video, feel free to share it out with any friends who might find value in it as well. Thank you so much for stopping by. We hope to see you again soon. Have a good one.